Well, hello, my friend. Welcome to the podcast. Excited to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
This is awesome. So for those of you who watched the Ryan Harris interview that I did, Ryan's the one that introduced us, which is awesome. And what I found is that good people just happen to know good people. Funny how that works, huh?
Yeah, amen.
This is awesome. And what's cool is you and I have been able to spend some pretty good time together and just get to know each other over the past couple, 2 months now, which is crazy how time flies. And I think every time we meet, I'm picking your brain on sports and athletics, and we're always talking mindset. And it's just I'm just so thankful and blessed that our paths crossed via Ryan. That was 2 months ago or so.
Yeah, absolutely. And I reached out to him just about mentorship and speaking and all this, and he was just, man, I got a guy you got to talk to. And so I'm really grateful for that, and for him, and for you and this friendship.
You are stuck with me, dang it. You're stuck with me. Like it or not, I'll keep calling and saying hello. I'm pumped as well because you're joining us at the Shift Experience. You're going to sit on one of our panels and get to share your story and experience of what it's like to play at the highest level of women's soccer. I mean, you played at Notre Dame, you played professionally for a number of teams. You've had experience with the women's national team, which is just absolutely incredible. So I can't wait to have you there because, as I told Ryan, I get to learn from everybody there. So yeah. You're no exception to that.
Yeah,
which will be great. And I wanted to dive a little bit into your athletic career because, again, you and I talk so much about mindset and what it takes to get to the top and stuff like that. And this is probably a fairly loaded question, but what do you think separates the people who get the opportunity to play professionally and stay at that and play at that high level versus the ones that don't?
I mean, I think it just comes down to having that dream and then actually putting the work in to do it, even when the times get tough, because there will be a lot of obstacles. Maybe you get cut from a team, maybe you get injured, maybe you move, maybe a coach just doesn't vibe well with you. And so for myself, I had that dream. I know what I wanted.
Yep.
And then I just can remember from when I was 8 years old in the backyard, putting in the extra work no one told me to. And of course, you're going to get athletes who have the talent and they're just gifted.
Yes.
But you've got to put the work in, and eventually that may fall off or they might be exposed. And so through the years, through all the different teams and circumstances and wins, losses, it was just putting in the work and being resilient and persevering through times.
Yep.
And yeah, there's a lot of times in someone's career was like, well, I got injured and so that was it. Or, well, we lost and I was down and that was it. And so I think it's just that grit and that perseverance to keep pushing.
Yeah, and I know, your history, you've had some injuries you've had to deal with, right? And I know you're dealing with one right now, as a matter of fact.
Yep.
You might be on crutches or in a boot or something on the 15th and 16th of May here. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm praying for that miraculous healing and you're back to normal. But I think when we face that adversity for you, I know it's come through a lot of injury and a lot of other circumstances as well. But how do you, or how have you, when you dealt with that adversity, kind of worked through mentally, whether it's kind of the self-talk or mantras or whatever it was, reaching out to people? How did you kind of work through when you experienced that injury and said, well, now it's got to shift and I've got to do something different? How did you work through that? Because that's the biggest thing for people. Something goes wrong and we can start going down this path if we're not really careful. So how, when you were dealing with injuries back in the day, how did you kind of work through that?
It's amazing. I think that because when I look back at all the injuries, and it's pretty ironic, but I don't think so. I think this just time in my life, the fact that I fracture my foot and it's going to be
while dancing, right?
Yeah. I was completely sober, wearing Converse shoes, just dancing my heart out.
It's right.
First injury, not playing a sport though.
Yeah.
But looking back, I've had 11 surgeries, plenty more injuries, broken ribs, concussions. So even back through high school through college, through the 7 years professionally. And people are, yeah, man, when they hear about my injury, they're like,
Yep.
oh yeah, I had an injury and that was the end of my career. Or I had a couple of these things. But for me, I think one, I had a dream so big and wanted it so bad, was to play for the national team, was to play in a World Cup and an Olympics. And I had those dreams and I had those visualizations. I remember when I was 14 years old, I'd gone to a soccer camp.
Yep.
And whatever the whole soccer camp entailed, we had to go to these classroom sessions. For me, I just wanted to play. I was like, oh, I don't care. I just want to go play.
Yes.
But that was the biggest and the only thing I remember about that camp was having a dream, visualizing it, putting in front of your face, and then working. And so I found a poster of the U.S. women's national soccer team with their gold medal Olympics.
Yes.
Or with their gold medal from the Olympics. And I put that, I had bunk beds at the time, and I put that above my bed and then had I ripped off on a cardboard box and it said national team, just do it. Even had glow in the dark stars. So when it was at night, I could still see it burning. But through every injury, that was my dream. That was my goal. And I went out and worked. And when you get knocked down in an injury, it is tough. You have to sit on the sideline. You have to watch your teammates. You feel pulled away from your teammates.
Yes.
And so that's just what happens in the game. But for one, I had to have that dream so big that I was like, nothing is going to take me away from this. I had teammates that I had to reach out to. Yep. I found through the years, if I started to pull away and kind of, I call it like turtling up or like becoming a hermit, that I went to a bad place. Yep. And so I'm grateful for the teammates, for the coaches, for the people that would help pull me out of it. But ultimately too, I had to make the decision to get out there and work. And I think that's something so big to be said about what physical activity does to us in our mindset.
Yes.
And so even if I couldn't do the things that I want to, even right now, I can't go do all the things I want to do physically.
Right.
Even getting some sort of workout along with, for me, prayer and just positive thoughts through my head is what's pushed me out of those and through those.
Well, that's huge, because I think it's that belief in something bigger than yourself. When you have the dream, it's when something goes wrong, reconnect with the dream and reconnect with it often, and even find a glow in the dark thing, right, to put on your ceiling or wall or whatever. But just you reconnect with that, and then being able to just understand, like, I can still work, right? I can still do things even if maybe I'm off track a little bit or injured or whatever. And then reaching out to people, I think, is massive. It's massive. And that's why it's been so fun connecting with you, because we get to talk about this stuff, right? We played completely different sports. Obviously, you're a female, I'm a male, so we have different backgrounds, all that stuff. But our stories are so similar, of just dealing with injuries and getting cut and having to deal with all sorts of coaches, good and bad, and like what it takes to go there. I think it's massive. At the shift, we're talking about our 4 B's, right? So we've got, our brain, so our mindset, all that stuff. We're going to be talking about our body. So my wife's coming to talk about nutrition. We're doing a workout as part of it. You'll be there cheering us on through the workout.
Hey, I can do some of it.
Exactly. I don't want to hurt you anymore. But we've got the body piece and recovery, things like that. We've got business. So how do we grow our business, our career, take that and shift that to the next level? And then finally is bond, right? So our relationships that we have with people. So as you hear those 4, right? So brain, our body, our business, our bond. Is there one that just kind of sticks out to you as like, oh, that's one that, I've had to work on in the past, or when I'm focused on now, and why, can you talk a little bit about kind of why that just sticks out to you and why it's important to you?
Yeah. Well, obviously every single one, the relationships that I'm building, in business aspect, I am now a massage therapist, mobile massage therapist. So growing through that and staying tough through that, and physically, obviously, like what I just said before about how important that is. But I think for me, and I think the message that keeps coming up, is that brain? Is that mental toughness? You know, going into depression after a career that with 11 surgeries, and I wanted a goal so bad. And so for me, I'm like, yeah, physically, yeah, got to work on not eating an entire box of cereal when I'm down.
Right.
But the mindset, it's the power of the brain that where it can take us, and taking those bad negative thoughts captive. I can go down a very bad, you can fall into a pit and you can stay there. And his friends say, just don't decorate it. So it's okay to scream it out, to get it out. But for me, physically, I am not able to do a lot of things. I can't work right now for massage. I can't work out. I can't hike the 14 years I want to. I can't play every sport that I want to right now.
Yes.
But this, in my mind, is where it starts. And you can do a lot of visualization, and it all starts with putting positive thoughts in my head. And when I get down, all the other aspects go part of it. But, you know, what am I thinking? Because what I'm thinking about is how I'm going to act upon, and those become my behaviors and my habits, and ultimately the path that I'm going to go down.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a huge piece. I think we forget about that when we have that transition from athletics to the business world, and just to what I'll call the real world, right? Or working world. And you could be an entrepreneur, have a career, like, you know, be married, not be married, like all these different situations, just life happens. And what's cool about like what you've done is like, it's learning to leverage what you already knew in athletics and what you trained on like every single day, but it's learning to how do you take that and then apply it over here, right? Because it's really the same, it just feels a bit different. So it's like, well, this is foreign, this is weird, this is different, but it's like, well, no, it's like, break it down, like it's the same. It's something that is painful or sucks or like whatever is difficult, but leveraging like you've been there before, now you can do it again type stuff, right? It's just reconnecting with the tools and all those mindset pieces.
Yeah. And I just listened to a podcast about, and I know this, I hear this, because physically I'm like, yeah, I know I'll get back. But mentally, our brain is a muscle too. It's something that we need to put in the work daily. When I look back, and there was a couple years in between my professional career and to where I am now, and realizing like what got me to be at the highest level in women's soccer, like what got me there. It took daily work. It took, you know, obviously like that good mindset and believing in yourself in the work. But if I didn't put the work in daily, I can't just say, I want to go play in the Olympics and then expect, all right, good things are going to happen. Like I had to put the work in.
The magic flow. Yeah.
And so for me, I'm like, when I've fallen into points where I've gone down a bad path for a little bit, it's like, am I putting in the work mentally every single day, starting the day with the right mindset? Because if you don't, it will lead to the rest of where that day goes, week goes, year goes.
Yep. Yep, that's so true. So I got to tell you, for you listeners, for you watchers, all that stuff, I know this has been a brief glimpse into one of the best background, but I cannot wait. And I know after you hearing this, that when you get to learn from the best who've been at the highest level, there's a pretty incredible opportunity ahead of you. And one thing you're going to find out about Brittany and like what she does is, and I guarantee you this will be the way it is, but she'll have her notebook out during the event, writing furiously, because that's her. And it's just absorbing as much information as possible, because she's all about growth. She's all about putting in the work, writing stuff down, learning from it. And you, I don't know, I just can't wait to get out my notebook and be just writing down all sorts of stuff as I'm leading the panel that you're on. I'll probably forget to ask questions because I'll be writing in my notebook, which won't look the best, but I'll manage it still the same. But I'm so fired up to have you part of this, and just can't wait to have you there on the 15th and 16th to continue changing lives and sharing just what you're growing with and what you've learned and with the whole audience. So thank you so much for, your time today and for being part of the Shift experience.
Oh, I am so excited, so pumped, and so grateful for the opportunity. Just you get a bunch of people in the same room, and we are. I've heard this. We're lifelong learners, so it's not just we'll never arrive, and if we do, and if we think we have, we have a long ways to go. So thank you so much for the opportunity, and I am pumped to join the stage with you and a lot of amazing speakers and athletes.
It'll be a blast. Well, have a good rest of your day. Oh, there we are. Sorry, I lost you for a minute, but have a good rest of the day, and we'll slight pause, and we'll see you next week.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks.
Thanks for your time.